For starters, I'm gonna just mention Diddy's upcoming release. P Diddy's upcoming release from the jail. I'm talking about P Diddy's upcoming release from the jail, or should I say, P Diddy's sentencing. On October 3rd, P Diddy will be sentenced for the 2 counts of the Mann Act, and what that is transporting prostitutes from one state to another to pay for sex. That's against the law. That is against the law, and that's what they had. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you a little history on this whole P Diddy's case. First of all, I'm gonna just share who P Diddy is for those who may have been living under a rock and don't know who P Diddy is. P Diddy is what's called a rap mogul, right? He's a CEO of Bad Boy Entertainment, was one of the big record labels, hip hop record labels. You know, he had a lot of acts. One of his main acts is or was Notorious B.I.G. And Notorious B.I.G. was the big rapper who was involved with the East Coast, West Coast beef. You know, Sean P. Diddy Combs had Bad Boy, who Biggie was a rapper on Bad Boy Entertainment. On the West Coast, you had Death Row with Suge Knight, and Tupac was a rapper on that coast. Long story. Powell said, "Don't say that bad word." What's the bad word, Paul? But this is what I'm saying is what happened. It was a big East Coast, West Coast beef that, you know, this was during the 90s. And it escalated to the point where it was getting physical. Incidents was taking place at different award shows. But eventually Tupac got killed, and later Biggie got killed. And after that happened, people were calling for peace between East Coast and West Coast. And East Coast is like New York City, you know, all the way down, Baltimore, DC, and all that. West Coast, you know, California, Los Angeles, and all that. And people were taking sides. I mean, it was heated. Even people who live outside of them areas was either taking the side of East Coast rappers or taking the side to rep the West Coast rappers. And that's what took place on that. So as we know, P. Diddy owned Bad Boy Records, and Suge Knight was on the West Coast. So we're talking about Diddy right now. So this happened in the 90s. Well, last year, charges were brought up against P. Diddy, not related to that East Coast, West Coast beef. This was something totally different. You know, life went on, and there were some people who had several complaints about Diddy. One was his girlfriend, Cassie. And what happened was there was a big video. There was a video that came out that hit the news big time, where Sean P. Diddy Combs was on video surveillance camera at the hotel, kicking and beating on Cassie. And I'm only telling y'all this to bring y'all up the speed to who P. Diddy is. So what they say happened is Cassie came to Diddy. Cassie and her attorney came to Diddy and his people and was like, listen, if you give me 30 million, whatever it was, if you give me this, right, none of this won't come out. I won't release the tape. Evidently, he's like, man, girl, go ahead. I'm not giving you no money. I'm not doing it. And he did not pay. And what happened was they end up releasing the tape. Piffy is a devil worshiper. Grim Keeper, respect your opinion, man. I respect your opinion. But let me tell the stories to get everybody caught up. So he did not. He said, you didn't know? So let me bring the speed. So this is the thing. After Cassie and her people went to Diddy and his people and said, listen, $30 million, you can make this whole situation go away. Well, evidently, Diddy was like, nah, we're not doing it. Do what you got to do. and they released the tape, man. And the world at that point kind of turned against Diddy. And what that did, it opened up the floodgates, because right after that happened, a lot of people started making allegations of all kind of stuff. It, there's been years of allegations, right? But there's a difference. Let me explain this first before I go on. A lot of the allegations dealing with Diddy was that he didn't pay people right, or bad contracts, or this and that. But now these allegations were stepping up. You had a producer that say, it was a male producer that said Diddy forced them in while they was in the studio making an album. He forced them. And then you had several different incidents of people, let me say allegations. People made several allegations on him. The internet every day was coming out with something new every day about Diddy and his character and things that he supposed to had done. Well, it seemed like that ramped up the FBI, because shortly after that, after all this heat was on Diddy, the FBI raided three of P Diddy houses. I think one in New York, California, and Miami. So they raided all the houses, took a lot of computers. So everybody was like, oh, they got freak offs. And that's another thing. There were people talking about freak off. That's where this word became common. All on different videos, all throughout social media, they was dragging Diddy through the mud. So I guess the FBI felt like they had to get involved. And another thing that they was trying to say, some people were trying to insinuate he even messed with kids. And they threw a couple names out there, which probably should not have been thrown out there, right? Because those individuals never accused Diddy of the stuff that the social media did. And just to tell y'all who they were, it was Justin Bieber and Usher. So, but continue moving on. So after they raided his houses and took phones and computers and all kind of stuff out of his house, after seeing the all the social media posts, everybody thought that Diddy was guilty. Automatically, he was guilty. He did it. They got too much. They took stuff out of his home, this and that. So the internet really went off. Well, long story short, because they did not arrest Diddy at that time, long story short, they, I guess, summoned Diddy to come back to New York. So the day before he got arrested, he came back to New York, and he was seen in the streets of New York talking to people, that really ain't seen him in a minute. He was just out and about. But come to find out, they saying the FBI told him that he was going to have to turn himself in. So he came to New York City to turn himself in. But right before he turned himself in, they raided the hotel. Not raided, they went to the hotel and they took him into custody. Charged him with what they charged him with, RICO, running a criminal enterprise, sex trafficking, so he was charged with RICO, trafficking, a lot of stuff. So people was like, see, I told you he was guilty, right? So let's fast forward up to the court. He went to the federal court, the federal team. They had a whole bunch of prosecutors prepared to work the case against Diddy. The problem was, in order to substantiate these allegations of sex trafficking and RICO, they based their case on Cassie, which was his girlfriend of 10 years, right? And they was also, like I said, they was talking about many Grimm said Piffy is no different than Epstein. The list of people he sacrifices long. Thank you for your thoughts, but let me go through this and I'm gonna get back to you, Grimm. Grimm Keeper is his name. But anyway, what happened is he went to court. Man, they had a heap of witnesses to come in there, and everybody was going to add the pieces together to prove that Diddy was a sex trafficker, right? That they were having these freak offs, because that was the main word. But as they went to court and as the evidence was being presented, what came out was that the only freak offs that were going on were between Diddy, his girlfriend, and then the prostitutes that they hired, you know, whatever interaction they was having with that. So, and that's another one. See this, that's another one. Like I was talking about, I spoke about many rumors that came out, and I'm gonna continue on about Diddy. Many rumors that came out, like you saw that everything that happened, people would say, see, Diddy got them knocked off. I got somebody in the comments saying he tried to silence Jamie Foxx. See, that's something that came off of the internet. People made these fake videos and said Diddy did this to Jamie Foxx. Diddy the reason this person happened. Diddy the reason that person happened. None of those conspiracy theories were never proven in court. As a matter of fact, the FBI didn't even take a lot of that stuff serious because they knew better than that. The guy here said Illuminati isn't a rumor. Yeah, but that don't mean P Diddy was a part of that. So let me continue to move on. He went to court, him as his lawyer, and when it came time, Ron said, hey, bro. Hey, Ron, welcome to the chat. Right today, I'm talking about P Diddy because he may be released or he may just have to do a little bit more time, but his release is coming soon. The court date for his sentencing is October 3rd. But let me finish what I was saying. So P Diddy went to court and he got to deal with even how in this comment, there was a lot of, you know, stuff on the internet. People couldn't tell the truth between a lie, between conspiracy theories. One thing we did know, though, that Diddy did beat and kick Cassie which was his girlfriend at the time, because they had the video of that. But they tried to use that to base everything else and say that he was trafficking people. Some people said there was children involved. Listen, man, according to the courts and the documents, no children were involved in the case. Before I move on, I'm gonna bring this young lady. I'm not gonna say her name, but she came out and said that after an awards show, P Diddy and Jay-Z raped her. But the problem with it was everything she identified was not accurate with what was going on that day. So they quickly threw that out. She tried to drag Jay-Z in because for some people, and let me say this real quick. For some people, it is a money grab. Some people just want to get paid any kind of way they can. But I do want to say, man, we want to respect any victims, man. Our heart goes out to any victims of SA, any victims, our heart goes out to them, right? But in the midst of all that, there are people. Somebody asked something crazy. In the midst of all that, right? There are people who will try to take advantage of somebody. That's why men, be careful. Ladies out there, be careful, man, because you have some people that the first thing they're on their mind is money, and they would use anything they can. So let me tell you, they went through the courts and they had all these witnesses, right? And it came time for the witness, for the defense to speak. And they were saying, yo, no, I'm not, sir. Yo, this dude here. But anyway, let me finish. Thank you, Grim Keeper, for the question that you just asked. Right, Ryan, thank you. That's what it's about. It's about empathy and being able to understand other people's situation. You know, thank you, Ryan, for bringing that up. So this is the thing. When it came time for the defense, P Diddy did not take the stand on his behalf. So they asked him, how many witnesses are you planning to call? And what happened was the defense said, we don't have any witnesses. And some people was like, oh, they great cooking. He's going to get cooked and this and that. And they was just talking about what was going to happen to Diddy. Diddy did not take the stand, first of all, for itself, right? And looking back, that probably was a good idea because the prosecutors was going to try to eat him up, even though they had already painted him as the evil guy, right? They used a lot of the social media stuff and got different witnesses to come in, right? P Diddy said, "No, I'm not taking a stand." There was the mogul from the West Coast, Suge Knight. He's actually currently in jail out in California, right? Or is it Nevada? Well, he's out west in jail doing federal time. But he was like, P Diddy should take the stand. I don't think it would have been a good idea because that would have gave the prosecution more ammo to use against him. But anyway, when they came time for the juries to deliberate, everybody closed. They had to close their arguments, and then it was time for them to deliberate, right? First, as soon as they went in to deliberate, right, whoever was the chief of the jury, because they always assign somebody who's over the whole, don't mean he the leader, but he responsible for sending notes to the judge. They sent a note to the judge and said, we got somebody in here who is not cooperating. The judge told them, well, y'all figure it out. Y'all continue deliberating and figure it out. But then it got to the point, they said, we got a verdict, right? No, they said they had something on some counts, but didn't have anything on the other. It was one thing that they couldn't agree on. The judge sent them back, said, keep deliberating so y'all get a full, because it was 5 counts. So what happened was, it came to the big day when everybody was anticipating what was going to happen. Man, everybody said Diddy was cooked. He was going to get life. This was going to happen. That was going to happen. Yeah, Ron, he may have to get the boot if he don't, if he don't chill out. One thing all I ask y'all to do in the chat, man, be respectful, man. We got all other, other people in there. Just be respectful. That's all we asking, man. You can have your opinion. We respect that, but just be respectful in the chat. So they came with the deliberations. You had 3 charges that would have toasted Diddy. He would have been done. The RICO, running the organization, and the sex trafficking. They said not guilty on all of those. And then they had the 2, what's called the Mann Act. And this act is really, some people call this law kind of racial because it goes back to Jack Johnson, who was a famous boxer. And that's why they even created the law. He had a white wife or girlfriend, and they wanted to use that. They didn't want to. They used that law against him. And even others after that. But it goes back to him, man, years way back. With that, the 1930s or something like that. So it goes back that far when they use it for a black man to say he was trafficking white women. But in this case, they use it on Diddy, and they did get the 2 convictions. So now Fair said, I think they're gonna give Diddy time served. Yeah, they just released the thing. They had a report that his lawyers are saying, let him go. He did his time. And they didn't presented a lot of documentation and also previous cases and show why he should be released. It is a good chance that he may get released. Okay, Grim, that's what's up. You talking about Corrupt the Rapper. I know you're talking about. So, but thank you for sharing that, Grim Reaper. But this is the thing, right? He got not guilty on the 3 main charges. And the RICO, I'm going to tell you all the significance of the RICO charge. Why it was a big win for Diddy. Because had he been convicted of RICO, now Diddy was like a billionaire, close to a billionaire. Let's say he had hundreds of millions. Let's say that. If he was convicted of the RICO Act, the government then was going to go after his assets and his money. He was going to be broke. They was going to attack because some of his businesses and assets are in his mother's name. They was going to come get it all. The government was going to come get it all. They was not playing the radio. Organized crime gets you life. He was going to get life, most definite. But in addition to that life, they was coming after the funds, all them houses, all the businesses. They was coming after that. So as we continue, right? So this is a big thing. You know, once he got the 3 not guilties and the 2 guilties, they tried to put in for another bail. They said, okay, he was found not guilty of the violent charges, the most aggressive charges. Can we get bail? They still didn't let him out because at the time, the main victim, Cassie, wrote a letter to the judge and said, nah, don't let him out. I'm still afraid and this and that. And the prosecution didn't want him out. So it may be a good thing that Diddy did not get out, because if he do get time, and they're saying according to his point sheet, I think they're saying he gonna have like a score of 14 through 16 or something like that. And what that means is the federal sentencing guidelines have point system. He's a first offender, and they add a little this and a little that. Keefe, life is good, man. I hope you're having a good day. I'm having a marvelous day. For me, as I say, every day for me above ground is a good day. But thank you for asking, man. So let me continue on. He was not able to get out on bail, and as I said, that may be a good thing, because now if he do get 2 years or whatever it, you know, they saying the guideline calls for, he can most likely get time served. Now let me tell you something real significant that he did, right? Because when you go to jail or prison or whatever, right, 2 things can happen. This is what people say, especially people who've been in the system and understand the circles. You can do the time, or you can allow the time to do you. All that means is, right, while you in jail, if the time doing you, you're gonna get worse. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be running this scheme, running that. It's a whole heap of stuff, whole big list of stuff that you can be getting involved in, but you won't be improving yourself. When you doing the time, instead of letting the time do you, you making improvements in your life, right? And there's some things that P Diddy got to make improvements in. You know, the choices he made, treating people, is a whole lot of stuff. And they saying, Ron said, how did you remain so optimistic? You got to, man, because guess what? Me or you don't control the day. Like, no matter what happened in our life, the morning the sun still rose, you know, it's set and it rose. So there's to your question, Ron, there's bigger things than us. Sometimes we just get caught up in us, but there are bigger things in life than us, and that's our hope, right? Just one me say I don't like Puff. He's abusive and was not a fan, but this was just a ploy on the U.S. behalf to expose his life, to ruin him. That's a fact, and he lost a lot of people, right? He lost a lot of people. But remember this: in life, it ain't about how many friends you have or whatever, you know, because really a lot of people don't care either way it go. But just one me, I gotta respect it, because you're a female and you seeing that tape, it might have brought you back to some instances that you know of other people around you. So I respect him, you for your stance. He's not perfect. He got a lot of growing to do. But what I was gonna say is, he's doing the time. Ron, we depression can happen, right? But I ain't gonna talk too much about it, right? Because I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that. But I do want to say this: be careful, you know, in that depression. Make sure you got somebody to talk to, some loved ones, man, not just anybody, man. Because some people don't care either way. But if you got somebody that you really trust and that trusts you, then you can open up to them. But don't open up to everybody about everything that's going on in your life. This is not giving a pedophile a pass. P Diddy is not a pedophile. He did some atrocious things to grown folks, which is still a violation of life. It is a violation of what some people call the man law. I'm not talking about the man law. I'm talking about the laws of man, to be a good person, to live by that which is right. That's what when I say man law. But what I'm saying is he is doing the time. He doing the time instead of allowing the time to do him, because he did sign up for the programs that they have. They requested he get into what you call it, the substance abuse programs. He has substance abuse problems. That's a fact. He's also getting into the hey Bradley. Listen, hey Bradley. Let me go and get rid of Bradley, man. You good people, man, but you can't come on here with that. So what I'm saying is, thanks, bro. My family kind of sucks. But Ryan says, thanks, bro. My family kind of sucks, but I do have a therapist. My parents are MAGA, which sucks. Right. Yeah, I mean, they're still human. I don't know to what extreme that, they are. Ryan, I don't know to what extreme. Do y'all have any common ground? Those are some of the things you need to think about. But you just got to find people. It don't matter, because they says just because you blood, you might have a friend that's closer to you than your own blood family. But as I continue, man, one thing that I gotta respect, already said that Diddy, while in there, he taken, the substance abuse thing, right? In addition to substance abuse, he taking them anger management classes, because the way he was beating her down on that video, he does need some he got some anger management issues, right? And it probably all goes together. Neither one of those was the root cause, because it was another cause, and it's me talking, right? There's another cause that caused him to be using the drugs like that, especially abusing them drugs. And that probably led to the abuse and led to what they call the offs that they had, the freak offs and all that. But this is another thing he doing. When I say don't allow the time to do you, you do the time. One thing Diddy, it was just reported in the New York Times, that P Diddy has created a business course for them brothers in jail. And I know some people might feel like, well, they in jail, they don't deserve a business court. Listen, man, everybody deserves an opportunity. I'm not going to just say second chances, man, because some of us get so caught up, we need third and fourth chances. So let me just say this. P Diddy created, man, while he was in there, he didn't have to do that. He could just kick back and wait to his sentencing, which come in a couple of days from now. But what he did, he created a business program. It's called Free Game with Diddy, man. And he also said he's going to extend that. So these people getting business classes that they would have to go to college and pay for. But not only that, they getting the practical steps, because P Diddy still got a multi-million-dollar business. So he knows exactly what he's talking about. So that was pretty good, man. That was pretty good. Said them folks was grown. He ain't did nothing to nobody. You're right. There was a shirt that the guy made, right? I don't want people to think I'm defending him. I'm just talking about what took place. But there was people, Gerald, there were people, right, who made shirts that said, what it say? A RICO is not a freako. So yeah, that man had some, devious, if y'all want to call it that, behavior as far as in his bedroom. But like the sister even said, they did that to expose Diddy, to smear Diddy, right? Some people, there's a clip going around. I don't know if anybody saw it, where P Diddy was talking some political stuff about unifying us and why we need a political party. They say that had a lot to do with what happened to him. And also when P Diddy tried to sue Diageo, and that's the company that owns them liquor brands, the Ciroc and all that. So those were things that were going on in his life too, man. Because if we in a society, right, that if you rub the wrong people, man, they can throw everything but the kitchen sink at you, right? And you may be guilty, you may not be guilty. I don't know. But if you rub some of the people wrong, they're gonna make it so hard and so bad for you, you know, that. And only by the grace of God, the only thing that saved Diddy was the money and them lawyers. He got a team of lawyers. He didn't just rely on one lawyer, man. He went and got a whole team, kind of like OJ did. But Diddy money is way longer than OJ Simpson. But OJ got the dream team, and what saved OJ is he had one of the best attorneys ever, in my opinion, in Johnny Cochran. I don't know if we'll ever see a Johnny Cochran. You know, Ben Crump, the civil rights attorney, is good. I don't know if even he is a Johnny Cochran. That's a once in a lifetime thing, right? Johnny Cochran stood on business. That's what saved OJ. But in this case here, he created just like a dream team. He had more lawyers than OJ had, and everybody did their part, man. Everybody did their part, and it worked for him. Grim said, I'd like to talk to you in person. Thank you, Grim. I appreciate that. But that's what happened, man. And basically, him creating this business, it's called free game with Diddy, to these people in jail, the forgotten, those who say don't deserve this or don't deserve that. Some of them will be getting out. So for him to give them the free game with Diddy, man, that's priceless. That's honorable, right? That's something good. That's something good. And remember this, you know, Gerald said, you are a smart man. Thank you, Gerald. But this is what I'm saying, right? We are quick to judge Diddy, right? So let's go ahead. The only thing that he was found, the only thing that he did that we know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, was put his hands on Cassie and use drugs. He admitted to using drugs, right? Getting high. He was a junkie. He was an addict. So hopefully as he come out, man, he'll be sober, able to make better decisions. But remember this, P. Diddy became successful. He wasn't even at his best, come to find out. That man was getting high. He was abusive. So imagine him now, right? Making better decisions, you know, being a grown man. Hopefully he won't be getting high in the way he got high. He was getting high in the past. Hopefully he won't be getting high, you know, the way he get. And I think this break kind of like opened him up for him to, it's one thing to be joining these groups, but P. Diddy created a business program, man. They said they teach all kind of stuff, management skills, how you open your business. And also, believe you me, it's going to be connected with resources. So it ain't just a fake pamphlet. It's just not just a 15 or 16 page pamphlet, a workbook or whatever it is. This is going to be attached with resources. Even if Diddy is the only resources, I don't know, but he's well connected. His businesses are still running. So, man, that was honorable. His sentencing, P. Diddy's sentencing will be on October 3rd. The prosecution, I think they asked him for like 2 to 5 or something like that. The defense attorneys are saying he need to get time served. He need to come on home and be with his family and continue running his businesses. So we're going to see on October 3rd, which I think is Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I think October 3rd will be Friday. That will be his sentencing, and we'll know for sure what's going to happen with him. My hope is that he come out a better man, right? Can't nobody judge him. He went to court and stood before the judge, before the federal judge who has a what 99% conviction rate. And that's why everybody said, man, Diddy was done. Diddy is over with. His life is over. They don't come at you if they don't have evidence. That's what everybody was saying. They can't be wrong. And this is one thing I will say, right? Just talking about the federal government. We have to remember the federal government was involved with the Kennedy thing. I ain't gonna say they was involved with the assassination. During Martin Luther King, they had surveillance on him. They had surveillance on Malcolm X. These people were assassinated, and they didn't commit any crimes. So when we big up the federal government and say like they're perfect and squeaky clean, they have done a number on us too. But just in this case, they went up against somebody who had enough. First of all, he had the will, because determination to fight back, because they did try to give him, they tried to give Diddy a plea. They be like, nah. Imagine you facing life, and it's the feds. They got all these witnesses willing to come and smear your name and say you did this or say you did that. How many people would have not taken that plea bargain? P Diddy said, nah, I'm not doing it. We're not taking no plea. Let's fight. Let's go to trial, and we doing it. And a lot of people said he was stupid for doing that, and all that. I got a guy on here talking about let's meet up. There's no need for me to you, Grim Keeper. I'm gonna just let you know there's no need for me to meet up with you, right? If you got different views, I respect your views, man. I'm not even attempting to get you to change your views. Keep your views. There's no need for me and you to meet up, right? He said his favorite movie is Double Advocate. I ain't mad at that. That was a good movie, right? It was in perspective, and it was about, and it's in context of this right here, because in that movie, the attorney, right, which was supposed to have been the devil's son, got a lot of people that he knew was guilty. He got them off because he was a good attorney, right? And then some bad stuff. You have to watch the movie, but that's a good movie. Thank you, Grim, for bringing that up. That is a good movie, and it's dealing with the context. But you got to realize, even in real life, they are attorneys, right, that may know in their heart, right? They wasn't there, but they may know in their heart that their, a client is guilty, but they're being paid to fight for the rights and make sure due process and all that take place, right? And that he does get a fair trial. So, yeah. He said that's his favorite movie. That is a good movie, man. That's a good movie. But this case here is real life, man. This here is real life. They was going to take a man down. That man got kids. It was going to be over with, because as soon as they convicted him, if they would have convicted him of the RICO Act, the next step was to come after his assets, and they was going to take everything. He was really going to be butt naked. And his family was going to be butt naked, because they wasn't going to stop. They was coming after Bad Boy, Sean John, whatever businesses he got, those houses, them 60 and 50 million dollar houses, they were going to come after all of that. So it was a blessing for him, at least, that he didn't get convicted of the RICO or the the trafficking charges. I do want to ask y'all, right? What do y'all think will happen? What kind of sentencing y'all think he would get? Do you think he'd get 5 years, 3 years, time served? What kind of sentencing? And let me say this, according to the guideline, there's a guideline. According to the federal guideline, being the first offender of those acts, right? He's really eligible to get time served, but they can give him more. So what do you think? Do you think P Diddy would get more time, or do you think he'll be coming home on a third, or at least within a year of that time? What are your thoughts about that? Right? And even though people smeared his name and said he was messing with children, And when they was talking about, this is the thing too, let me say this. When they was talking about the sex trafficking, I was thinking that he had children, or not just children, but I was thinking that he was taking people. He had a truck and threw them in the back of the truck and was sending them over to different places. The prosecution let a lot of misinformation and disinformation get out, because I was like, darn, Diddy, you running the business and you doing all this stuff? Because the world thought he was a trafficker, human trafficker. But that wasn't the case. It was all about him and Cassie. And when they was going to different places, that's how they even came up with that. Gerald said, time served. I agree, it's a good chance. I agree, Gerald, it is a good chance that he may get time served. But so far, it's like his judge has been against him, even with the bails. So I'm not really sure how they're going to handle it. But yeah, that's a good call. You know, according to the federal sentencing guidelines, that's what it should end up being. But we're going to see. Also, as I mentioned, the things that Diddy has done since he's been in there to teach these young people, old people, whatever, inside of there about business, especially on his level, man, that's a great thing. The silent one says hello. Hello, the silent one. We welcome you to this live chat. I don't know if you've been hearing, but I was just talking about P Diddy, and his sentencing is on the 3rd of October. So I was asking, do you think he'll get time served, or he have to do a little bit more time in this situation? The silent one, that question was for you. What are your thoughts about P Diddy and that particular situation? What are they going to do with Diddy? They say while he's been in there, since he's been in there, he did take, or at least sign up to take the anger management courses, as well as the substance abuse courses. Because as we all know, he had a substance abuse problem that can't be denied. And he had, right, anger issues. He was violent. And so he is trying to address those issues. But the one that got me is how he's teaching these business classes, man. It's called Free Game with Diddy. And they said when he get out, he's supposed to even take it on to another level. So he's going to be offering some of these classes even when he get out. I think that's honorable. The silent one said, well, I'll be honest, I have not been keeping up. But if they have solid evidence, then maybe more time. That also go to classes with anger, drugs, etc. Thank you. He was found not guilty on any of the major charges. He was found not guilty on the RICO Act. He was found not guilty on 2 counts of trafficking. So the only thing he got is they saying he took some prostitutes from one state to the next with him when they did their little situation. That's the situation with that, though. That is the situation with that. And like I said before, man, my hope is that come out a better man. I'm not condemning you. You know what you did. You know whatever faults you got in life, just like I know what my faults. Y'all know your faults. And my hope is that he come out a better man, right? Because P. Diddy was doing a lot, man. He was having the summits where people can come and learn about business. And say they completely lied on that man. I was even mad at him. Then I found out it was a lot of beat for real. Only thing he did was jumping on Cassie. And that was wrong, most definite. But the statute of limitation for that had passed, and he wasn't even charged for that. But you're exactly right. They lied on that man big time. They tried to railroad that man. They was going to make an example. They did make an example because he's still in there. The silent one said true. I mean, if they found him not guilty, then therefore he has to be released. But you're right. It could come out a better man and taking those classes as well as help him. Yeah, he not only helping himself, but he helping other people, man. Right? Because remember, they said a large percentage of the people in jail or in prison will return to the community, right? So we want them to have more resources, right, and better opportunities when they come out. Even when you go, or when people go in front of the parole board or the pardon board, you know, the main thing is, what are you going to do? First of all, what are you going to do to survive, to pay bills? What kind of job, marketing skills do you have, right? What are you going to do? Where are you going to stay? These are things they want to know, right, about you. So yeah, it's about making improvements, stepping your game up. So if you're in there, that's why most people get their GED, high school diploma, and in some places you can even pursue a college degree, but you got to pay for it. I know it's a misconception because Bill Clinton been cut that off through the crime bill. They don't pay for no college, right? But if you got the money and you're in a facility that's teaching college courses, you can pay for it, you know. But that's the situation with Diddy, man. I do want to remind y'all, I spoke on my last live, I was speaking about a black pilot who's created a nonprofit organization, right? He's now offering free classes, you know, not free training for those who want to pursue a career in aviation, who wants to be a pilot. His name Jerome Stanislas, right? And he's actually from New York City, but he got the nonprofit because the issue is there's a big gap between, you know, white pilots and black pilots. They say white pilots make up 92 to 94%. With the black pilots, that we only make up 3.9%. And they asked him, why do you think black people don't really pursue being a pilot? And he listed a number of things. One of the things was not seeing, you know, young black boys and girls, not really seeing many black pilots, right? And that's part of the issue. You know, a lot of times we got to see it to believe that we can do it. He said in his case, he had a very supporting family, you know, that calls him and encouraged him to believe in himself and all that. The Destiny Shift said, I hope he rehabilitates and reforms and stays away from enablers and do the work and attend AA and NA and lives positive. Yeah, he ain't gonna be perfect, you know, but yeah, I agree with you, Destiny. You made a very good point. And she's speaking about P Diddy. She hopes he rehabilitates and get his life together, right? And just got to be careful because, and he's gonna have to do a couple things. Be careful, right? But understand, everybody ain't gonna accept you back. Some people feel like you should rot in jail. You know, some people don't give no second chances. So there may be people in his circle, right, that might not never deal with him again. Jay-Z, for one, may not deal with him, right? Because Jay-Z even told, or they said that Jay-Z said it, that he's not my friend. Well, they had a lot of friendly interactions. I thought they was friends, but maybe not. But it's going to be some people that's not going to want to deal with him. And he's going to have to be all right with that, right? He made the bid. He put himself in this situation. So he's going to have to lay in it. But yeah, my hopes is that as well, Destiny, that he get his life together, get out, and do some great things. Because he still can do some great things. He still got some money making businesses, right? Anytime you're sitting on over 500,000, his worth is probably about 5, 6, 7, or maybe 800 million, not thousand. I'm bugging, million. So, and as I said, I don't know if you was in here when I spoke about it, Destiny, but he teaching, it's called Free Game with Diddy to the prisoners. He giving them these free business courses. And what I think is magnificent about this case is P. Diddy got real resources, right? He know where to send you and who really doing something. It ain't no mites and all that. He telling you do this. These are the opportunities. How I know that opportunities because I deal with these people on a regular. So yeah, that's a good thing. But his sentencing will be on October 3rd. Make sure y'all keep your eyes and ears open, and we'll see how that plays out. We're going to keep our eyes and ears open, and we're going to see how that plays out. For the sake of domestic violence, listen, man, to my brothers, do not put your hands on the sisters. My brothers, do not put your hand on anybody for one, but do not put your hand on the sisters. James, I don't understand what you're saying. That's not what he's doing, but it's clarify to the chat what you're talking about, James. Get some of this good H2O. On the same note, I also want to say, sisters or women, females, don't put your hands on men, period. We got to stop that. Communicate, 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 communicate. And I know sometimes I get emotional. We take it there, right? But females, don't put your hands on a man. And especially men, because I know a lot of your mothers, our mothers taught us that. Don't put your hands on females, any female for that matter. By him kicking Cassie, that set the stage up for all this other stuff. By that video that came out, everybody was like, bump him. And they could have just wrongly convicted him, you know, with the lies and some of the stuff that was put out there. But, you know, God gave him an opportunity to have another chance. So now he will get a chance at least to come back out in society. Just one Mia said, for both men and women, once someone shows you who they are, leave. Just one Mia ain't been speaking nothing but facts. She said, once they show you who they are, bounce, right? But some people be in a situation, just one me, they feel like they ain't got nowhere else to go. He's the only one or she's the only one, and they get caught up in that cycle. Tammy Pierce said, we are adults and we should conduct ourselves as such. Very good, Tammy. Very good. But at the same time, when emotions get tied up and people feel like they're hurt and their feelings been played with, sometimes people, the way they can answer is through violence. And like you said, we grown and we shouldn't be doing that. But you got to realize, first of all, don't play with somebody's feelings, man. Right? Because what they say, hurt people hurt people. That's why they even put it in the law. Let me take y'all here. They even put it in the law and it's a thing called crime of passion. Right? Example, if a man walk in, right? If a man walk in and see his wife getting busy or whatever, his emotions, right, may trigger him to do something crazy at that moment. He still will be held accountable, but at the same time, it'll be kind of under crime of passion, you know. So Tammy said, you are responsible for your own emotions. And that's a fact. But, you know, when you mix all this other stuff in, you're already dealing with your emotions, right? You already got a lot to deal with that. And I'm not telling anybody how to live their life. Live the life that's best for you, but make sure within that you're not harming anyone else. But just imagine somebody got a lot of stuff going on and they mix it with substance abuse. They're using one of these hard drugs, right? They really gonna be out of control. And that what happened in this case. They said they was using all kind of him and, you know, Cassie, excuse me. And that doesn't excuse anything, but I'm just saying, when you mix alcohol and drugs with them emotions, that's when we have most of our problems. Because some people already can't deal with their emotions, but now you're under the influence, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So I want to thank y'all, man, for coming through and sharing y'all thoughts on this. But as I said, P Diddy, man, is doing what I call an honorable thing. And it does not excuse anything that he's done or is accused of doing. But by offering these business courses, these free business courses to the other inmates while he's there, That's honorable, man. That's big. That's big. And I would like to know, like, later on, like next year, maybe 2 years from now, did anybody use that information that he gave while he was in there? Did he connect? Anybody connect with him later on? What happened with that? Did anybody get out that was in his class? And did they use some of the information that he gave? And that would really be a blessing if some of the inmates that he given this information to, if they're able to get out and use this stuff, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. You can't beat that. You can't ask for more, because what he did ultimately, right? He's contributing to help in the rehabilitation process, right? The redeeming value in another human being. So, all that's honorable, man. All that is honorable. But as I mentioned, the black pilot, that's another thing to check out. He got a nonprofit, and his goal is to get more black pilots. And this ain't through no DEI or anything like that. This is just him seeing a need, wanting to encourage other black people, to pursue aviation. It's okay to have a black pilot. You don't have to be frightened if you see a black pilot, because guess what? These pilots go through extensive training. And if they're a pilot, they're trained to do right. Now, they doing some other stuff like drinking or doing something, that's a personal choice. But if they're a pilot, they went through the extensive training, right? And they should be on there. So hopefully this man would encourage as many underprivileged minorities, blacks, white people too. Even though right now is 92 to 94% white pilots. So we got a lot of white pilots. And as far as black pilots, it's only 3.9% black pilots. So maybe you want to encourage it. That's if they want to do that, because they flying all the time. I don't even know if I would want to be doing something like that. It's almost like a truck driver, but worse, because you flying to this, then you flying back to this state, that state, that state. You flying out of the country. There's a lot that goes with that. But man, I want to thank y'all, man, for coming through, watching. Those who shared their thoughts in the comments, I thank you, thank you, thank you. I ask if you have not done it, go and subscribe to the channel, right? Hit the notification bell so you can be notified anytime I make a video. As I say, I thank y'all once again. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm ready to go and try to put something in my belly. But y'all be safe, man. Make responsible decisions, man. We know it's a weekend. We know some people turn it up, some people watching sports or whatever you're doing. But I want to thank y'all. Just One Me said extensive in the same training, as well as having the same flight hours as the white pilots. I just hope Trump can teach a bankruptcy class. yo, that's a fact. Oh, you made my day with that. That's a fact. Yo, exactly. Yeah, boy, he be able to teach one. Yo, that was good. I'm gonna close on that note. That was good. That made my day. Let me read that one more time. I'm gonna read that one more again. Extensive and the same training, as well as having the same flight hours as the white pilots. Yeah, that's true. I just hope Trump can teach a bankruptcy class once he get in. Oops. Yeah, but we thank you, man. It's all in fun, man. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all for the continued support. I hope I can motivate and encourage somebody to just be better in their own lives, man. Just try to be a little bit better today than you was yesterday. Thank you, Just One Me. Thank you, Tammy, James, everybody that was on here. Ryan, thank you, man. The Grim Reaper, the Grim Keeper, even though he was talking a little crazy. Thank y'all. Listen, man, y'all be safe, man. Until next time. Check out my video selection on my YouTube channel. Make sure you check out my videos. Like my videos, man. Subscribe to the channel. Y'all be safe, man. Until next time, man. Peace.